You've all seen the popular instant answer feature on Google search. Very handy, right? Yeah, Google copied that from DuckDuckGo. If you haven't met yet, this is DuckDuckGo, a search engine that doesn't track you. This has been the marketing strategy for DuckDuckGo ever since its inception in 2008. It has been effective enough at making Google feel so insecure, the search hegemon would even engage in anti-competitive trade blockade to make sure switching to DuckDuckGo is as difficult for the user as possible. What's the difference between DuckDuckGo and Google? What does it mean when a search engine is private? What can you gain from switching to DuckDuckGo? Well, let's take a look and make some comparisons. Search engines are your second gatekeepers to the internet right after internet service providers. That's especially true for Google, which enjoys 70 to 90% market share across the globe. If Google tweaks what and how results appear on the first page, they change how a lot of people think about certain topics. Google notoriously develops more and more of its own tools that it then puts in front of organic search results. Take an example from Google's automated response machine that tries to find a single answer to an increasingly wider scope of questions. For example, is Google spying on me? There's multiple things wrong with this approach. One is factual. If you know anything about Google's privacy invasion, you know this is a total fabrication. But to the uninitiated, it paints a delusion that there is no issue with privacy on Google because Google said they don't listen in to people's conversations. Google fabricates a statement and then argues against it. This question has never been the core position of privacy advocates. The charge against Google is the lack of transparency and clear consent. Average users don't understand how much Google knows about them and what they do with their data. Google artificially manufactures user consent through its vague and broad terms of service and complicated privacy settings. Even if people choose to opt out of privacy-invasive practices, Google proactively tracks them without their consent. Google collects your location, reads your emails, logs your browsing and search history, follows your purchasing records even in offline stores. That's called stalking, spying, tracking, snooping, snatching, and it's ignorant and psychotic. Should this be the answer instead? No, there shouldn't be any answer. Instant answers are good for questions that have one exact, real-world answer, like calculations, scientific and historical facts, or biographies. What's not that should be left to the organic search. Organic search result means that all pages are indexed based on the search term and the content of the websites alone, and they're ranked according to how well these two parameters match. If it's not organic, then Google should disclose that information each time it manipulates search results, clearly and in plain human English. Google never tells you this. Why is organic search so important? Because Google doesn't show you what the internet actually is about. It shows you an agenda, and this is the second big problem with Google search layout. Look at how much space this question takes out of the screen. It pushes organic results way down the page, making you scroll and spend more time if you want to find more internet content. If you compare that to DuckDuckGo, the privacy search engine places organic results in the center of your attention, and instant answer is on the side. As a consequence of this approach, Google doesn't include organic articles like this one from The Guardian that reports on the Chrome browser turning on microphones and recording audio without users' consent. Even if you decrease your screen real estate, DuckDuckGo rather takes the instant answer away than sacrifice the importance of organic search results. Meanwhile, Google sacrifices search neutrality to favor its own services. Google wants to control what people get to see. DuckDuckGo strikes this issue head-on. Google can't compete with DuckDuckGo's business model because it goes directly against everything that allowed Google to grow to such a monstrous size. Instead, the corporate monopoly went for a different strategy. Google has bought a domain duck.com that used to redirect users to google.com. Gabriel Weinberg, the founder of DuckDuckGo, claimed Google made it impossible for users to change their default search engine to DuckDuckGo on Chrome for Android and iOS. Since Google was fined $5 billion by the EU for abusing its market dominance, the search Goliath stopped redirecting to its main domain after 6 years. Instead, It points to an empty page that gives users ugly-looking links to go to DuckDuckGo or Wikipedia. Google still refuses to sell the domain to DuckDuckGo, despite Weinberg's long efforts to establish shorter and more user-friendly domain name. One of the biggest problems modern society faces with social media and big platforms in general is that they create automated echo chambers around people's individual profiles simply to get people to click on ads. This so-called filter bubble is plaguing the internet. In the case of search engines, Google is over-personalizing your search results to the point you would only be shown results that align with your political beliefs and opinions. DuckDuckGo doesn't have a filter bubble. Its search results are derived from over 400 sources that include big search engines like Bing or Yahoo, but also DuckDuckGo's own web crawlers. Its organic results aren't intervened by personalized filters, because DuckDuckGo doesn't maintain a personal profile on you like Google does. Google tracks your entire activity on the internet and even in offline retail world. Google knows where you've been recently, what you bought in the retail store yesterday, what you searched for, which websites you visited, what movies you liked, what books you read, comments you posted, politics you align with, and beliefs you hold. These are information that are relevant to advertising campaigns, but don't contribute to the quality of organic search. Google's results are not what the internet is about. They're Google's projections of their perception about your psychology. It's what Google wants to make you think or thinks would make you click on more ads. What matters is not whether those ads work, but that what you see on Google is no longer the organic search you would expect from a traditional search engine like DuckDuckGo. You can easily measure how dramatic the differences between search results on Google and DuckDuckGo sometimes are, especially when it comes to controversial or highly politicized topics. For example, is climate change a hoax? At a first glance, we can already see the differences. While completely absent from Google's results, DuckDuckGo ranks climate change denying websites quite high, like Breitbart or globalclimatescam.com. Why is that? Well, that's because an article like this, Top 10 Reasons Climate Change is a Hoax, or Climate Change the Hoax, score very well with search engine optimization. Articles like these are going to be filled with keywords like climate change is real or a hoax, I think it's a hoax and here is why, climate change is a hoax, global warming is a hoax, a complete hoax, I call the climate change industry a hoax, and so on. These are keywords that help search engines automatically evaluate how relevant certain content is to search terms in a non-judgmental utility function of algorithms. An article arguing for climate change is going to have fewer of these keywords and thus is not going to rank well with search engines. Even though the search term is a question in human language, DuckDuckGo's engine approaches it as any other search term. Google, on the other hand, ranks NASA article on climate change as second, despite the fact it contains the word hoax not even once. You might think Google is doing the world a service because it promotes scientific articles above conspiracy theories. But you need to think about the mechanism that's behind the good intentions. There is no reason for this particular NASA article to rank so high on this particular search term. It ranks well when you enter climate change as a search term, and that's perfectly fair. But it's not fair for the is climate change a hoax term when it comes to the search engine game. Google is making unilateral decisions on what should appear in its search engine, taking over user responsibility for finding the right answer. Google has admitted that it does manipulate search on purpose. Paving its way with another good intention to stop extremists, Google was promoting anti-ISIS ads when somebody searched for propagandist materials. Again, you might say, great, there are brutal enemies, no harm is done. But what this means is that Google is no longer playing a fair game. It's writing its own rules on what is and isn't okay to see without asking anyone, giving users a choice, or even letting people know. If you still think Google is on the right side of the history with these two examples, then you need to look no further than 2016 US presidential elections. It was a viral conspiracy theory that Google was promoting Hillary Clinton by hiding incriminating search suggestions that had anything to do with the word crime.
Google's autocomplete function automatically filled in Hillary Clinton crime bill and crisis. Do the same on Bing or Yahoo, you get Hillary Clinton criminal.
until Google came with a brilliant defense that they don't do this with just Hillary Clinton. They do this for every established personality. For example, Google filters popular suggestions next to Donald Trump like allegations, misconduct, and investigation. If you enter Bill Cosby, you won't see sentencing, accusers, and wife files for divorce. When you type in Clinton Foundation, Google filters out scandal, corruption, investigation, and percentage to charity. Why is Google doing this? In an official statement, Google says its policy is to not show a predicted query that is offensive or disparaging when displayed in conjunction with the person's name. Not wanting to hurt anyone's feelings might be a noble cause, but it is also impeding the free flow of information. Google is an internet gatekeeper, which for many users means Google is their primary source of information. In crucial moments during election campaigns, search engine suggestions about an incriminating incident of a candidate appearing due to spike in search volume can inform voters about something that could affect their choice at a ballot. Google could have decided to stay away out of this by letting the algorithm do what it does best, showing the internet how people make it. Instead, Google made a conscious decision to show the internet how Google thinks it should be. DuckDuckGo is surging in popularity, serving 30 million queries per day. But after 10 years of existence, this is still a much slower growth than that of Google. When the search behemoth announced to go public in 2004, 6 years after its creation, it was serving more than 200 million searches per day, and today that number is as high as 3.5 billion. DuckDuckGo is still not a threat to Google, but maybe it doesn't have to be. Maybe all it needs is to be a choice for users to search the web privately and neutrally. Google doesn't like competition, and it has a long history of anti-competitive practices. For example, Google promotes its own review services before way more popular options like Yelp or TripAdvisor. DuckDuckGo promotes Yelp reviews above other services, but it is not in the way of organic results. It's on the side, and on smaller resolutions, it disappears completely, leaving only organic results on the screen. When you search for a place, Google obviously promotes Google Maps, but DuckDuckGo gives you several options to choose from. Google wants to keep you in its own ecosystem, a walled garden, but the price you pay for Google holding your hand at all times is too high. It hurts small businesses, cripples consumer choice, results in censorship, and builds a massive surveillance state where nothing you do is private anymore. DuckDuckGo is serious about choice. You can customize your theme, turn advertisements off, tweak different services, and you can even use DuckDuckGo completely anonymously on Tor through their Onion link. Maybe the best way to let Google know we disapprove of their practices is to do it in the most American way possible. Start using their competition. If being able to privately search for results that aren't filtered and censored matters to you, then start using DuckDuckGo. My guess is YouTube algorithm is not going to like this video, so spreading this message is totally up to you now. Share it, engage in discussion below, and leave a like to let Google know the resistance is live and well. Thank you for watching.